Hello and welcome. My name is Mary Lou and you're listening to the Healer Hotspot podcast, which is all about well-being for women both at home and at work. We'll be talking to female entrepreneurs about their business journey and what inspires them, whilst also what living and working holistically looks like to them. To hear and be able to relate to other people's journeys can be a powerful reminder to us all of our own inner strength, resilience and abilities, whilst also inspiring us to better ourselves. In this series, we'll also be meeting some holistic practitioners and exploring their wonderful therapies and how they can help us in our everyday lives. In this week's episode, I'm delighted to introduce June Barclay, an Anusha Healer and Angel Channeller, who I am privileged to call a friend and mentor. We explore her gift of connection to spirit and what that meant as she grew up in the East End. After losing one of her sons at 20, June's life became even more focused towards helping others with her incredible gift, from mediumship to meditation groups and finally to healing. June's humble upbringing make her incredible story even more powerful, and she, with help from Spirit, have some beautiful messages for us all within this podcast. I hope you enjoy it. June, if you sat next to someone at dinner who you'd never met before and they asked you what you did, what would you say to them?
It's really hard to say what I do because I come from an era where you didn't talk about it, about spirit or seeing ghosts or seeing spirit. So I'm always a bit wary of that, of answering that question until they warm up to me. It's that's a really difficult question for me because I've always erred on the side of caution.
So if it was someone of your generation, would it be harder than if someone in their 20s asked you?
Yeah. Most times it's somebody I would know or that I would know somebody else and they would have heard about me. That's how it happens for me.
Okay, so if it wasn't someone new, how would you, to someone you felt totally comfortable with, and went, actually, what is your official title, June? Kind of, put it in a little snapshot, what you do. What would that look like?
I call myself a healer, channel, and a trainer of healers. So that, when you say healer, that opens the door, really, of somebody asking the questions. Because I don't advertise, people find me for the reason they find me.
But I like that people, because you've never advertised, and it's like people find you either directly if you suddenly meet them in a shop, which I know has happened to you, or if I or another friend goes, actually, there's this amazing woman who I think can help you. They always gravitate to you. They find you one way or another without having to put it out there.
So that, to me, is the way spirit works for me. And obviously I do think if I sat next to somebody at a dinner party, they would be open to it because I'm always put in a place like that to talk about it. It's like I need to talk to people to wake them up, to let them see that there's more to life.
Because I remember once you said when you went on holiday, there was a lady and you weren't quite sure you wanted to go, but actually you realised that by the end of the holiday, you were there to meet that one woman.
Yeah, that's right.
What was her story? I can't remember.
That was in America. Yeah, I woke up, we was in the Keys, Florida Keys, and I woke up one morning and said, I've got to go to Annie's Beach, just because spirit talked to me like that, which was miles away. It's not down the road. It's not like going to Salcombe. It was away back on the Keys. And Charlie and I sat on the beach, and it was this little scruffy piece of land with just a bit of beach. The rest was all trees and leaves and just sitting there looking at each other. And he said, do you really want to stay? I went, no, I don't want to stay here. I don't know what we're doing here. And we got up and walked. There was a boardwalk, and we walked the boardwalk, and I had my other necklace on. And for some reason, this lady just looked at the necklace, and it shined and spoke to her. And by the time we got to the seating area, she'd walked up behind us, and started telling me a story about having cancer, and we sat talking for ages, and I'd give her some healing, and I can't even remember her name now. The upside to that story was her sister's name was June, and it was the day that she had died.
No.
And she said every year I go to visit her grave, but I woke up this morning and somebody told me I had to go to Annie's Beach.
No. Extraordinary, isn't it?
It really, I mean, in America, miles away, nobody knows me. Her husband was something to do with the radio, and he wanted me to go back and give an interview, but I didn't keep in touch, which is partly my stuff, because I don't gravitate to being out there like that. And I just thought, if it's meant, it will happen again, and they'll call me and I'll go. But that was amazing for me, because she'd got the same message in that morning, and it was her sister's, day of her death.
And to have the same name as well.
And to have the same name.
You're visiting June, but not the June you think you're going to see.
Yeah, it was really something else.
Yeah.
And we sat for, a couple of hours chatting to them, just sitting at this table. And I can still remember Archangel Raphael completely over, completely. The green was amazing. And even I had a bottle of water in my hand, and he told me to give her the bottle of water, because the energy from my hands had been in the water. And she was just so grateful. She was really in a bad way though. She had lots of cancer going on. But if that even helping someone, if she passed over, I've not kept in touch, so I should think she has passed over. But just to know that we had that connection, sometimes that's all you need. There's just that bit of connection.
So when did you first feel or were aware of angels in your life?
When I was a child. The first I remember of it was I was standing in the cot, and I can still see that room. So I was standing up, so maybe I wasn't two. I can't remember, because my mum and dad are not here now to remind me. But I go back to that room, I see that room, and I was standing up looking around. I think I was crying, because there were so many people in that room. And that's all that's the first time I remember it. And from then on, it was always, I could sense people in the house, I could sense loads of things.
And did you ever verbalise that to your parents, or was that quite understandably, well, everyone sees this?
Yeah, well, my dad was quite spiritual. He used to see things, and he'd talk about it openly. And I can't remember talking to him about it. I probably did, but my dad's been dead 50 years now.
Gosh.
And I can't remember the conversations we would have had about it, but we openly spoke about spirit. My nan used to see things, and so I probably I feel like I just dropped into that, and without saying the words, if you like, it was a knowing that they knew that I was like that. It was always really open at home.
So did you use it? Was it just, well, it's just there?
It was just there.
Or did you use it as angels, what do I do now? Angels, help me.
No.
Did you use it as something to help form your life?
No, not really. I just was aware of spirit, big time. And where we lived in the back of the East End, and I used to walk home in the dark, young, very young, but I never felt alone, and I was never scared. So for me, that was obviously the feeling they were giving me, because I can't ever remember feeling scared as a kid. And I'd be on my own a lot, because I had brothers that were older. I'd have friends, but I was probably a bit of a loner. I'd go swimming on me. I'd do what I wanted to do, mostly. Go swimming on my own. Loads of things, because my parents, after the war, people just really, they was too busy with their own life children were just left to be, we weren't encouraged to have a good job, or we was just there and we had to get on with it. Not unkindly, but that's how it was. And the East End was obviously full of people that everybody knew everybody. And all my family lived close together, and there was a lot of them. So it was just, it was almost like I'd accepted that that's what was happening to me or around me. And it was no big deal because it was always there. Now I know how lucky I was to have that. It was a real insight into another world. I'd sometimes get a bit nervous of it because it would be full on. I'd hear people walking about in the bedroom in the night, right from a young child. But if you grow up with it, I just didn't like that. I didn't want to be woken up in the night. But other than that, it was just such a big part of my life. And I never read a book about it. I didn't know. I just heard my dad talk or my name.
So was there a time when you shared this with someone or talked about it openly and you realised actually that it wasn't not normal, or that other people didn't experience this on a daily basis?
It was the night I had Cole. My dad, I was always amazed that he'd been dead 5 years then. I was always amazed that I hadn't seen him. Not that I went looking for him, I just was amazed that he hadn't come back and spoke to me. And the night I had Cole, he turned up as large as life in the bedroom. And the other two were bad births, but Cole was easy. It was just incredible that he was there that night. That was the night I saw him, and I told Charlie. And I'd never spoken to Charlie about any of it because his family were different. And it was that era, the 60s, you didn't really say that you'd seen things because they would lock you up. He was mad. And Charlie's first words to me was, "Are you cracking up?" Because he'd never heard that conversation, had that conversation with me. Because that was like personal to me, maybe. And because it wasn't spoken about, and his mum and dad wouldn't have accepted listening to it. They would have thought I was potty. And you didn't want that stigma with it.
So did you not pursue that conversation with Charlie, or did it?
After that, I saw him quite regular, my dad. He was around a lot. Charlie used to be a lorry driver in them days. And this particular night, I woke up and there was this massive presence in the bedroom. All I can say is I think it was the first encounter I really had with a very large angel. Before, I think it was more spirit. This was an angel. And I got up and I just couldn't get over the feeling. I got up, I put all the lights on because this was something else different. And I could feel the enormity of it. And when Charlie got up for work, he said to me, it was about 5 o'clock, he'd probably got up then to go, or he was going to work then. And he said, "It's like Blackpool illuminations in here. What's going on?" I said, "Oh." And I just said to him, "I saw my dad last night again." That's as far as the conversation would go. I thought, I can't tell him now that I've seen something or felt another presence. So a couple of hours, or no more than a couple of hours, about 9 o'clock, the phone went, and he was driving down to Tilbury or Harwich or somewhere with this loader, with this long lorry. The guy who he was doing the job for rang and said, "Is Charlie at home? Has he gone, left yet?" I said, "Oh, he left hours ago." He said, "Well, he's not arrived yet." And then he put the phone down, and the next phone call was Charlie. As that phone went down, he rang. And in the days when you'd have to use a phone box. And he said, the only thing he said to me is, "If you see your dad again, I'm not going to work." So I said, "Oh, what's happened?" He said, "My lorry jackknifed down the lane, and it went down the ditch. It went miles one way, turned round and come back miles that way, and he walked away with a scratch on his head. And I saw that lorry, there was nothing left of it. The roof, the windows, everything had gone."
Wow.
And it was that night I felt that presence.
Yeah.
Whether, I've never asked, it may have been Charlie's guardian angel.
Yeah.
But for me, and even if I think about it now, it was like feathers from, if you touched a swan's neck, the feathers were that close. And it felt like, to me, I could feel it and sense it. And it filled, the whole presence filled that bedroom. So the connection, I think, was somebody protecting Charlie, who I gather must have been his guardian angel. But they came to let me know that if it was like a premonition. But at that stage of the game, I never took it at that. I just thought, oh my God, what's happening to me now? Because I was frightened. I was laying this way and I was frightened to look over my shoulder because I could feel the enormity of it behind me. I remember just quickly putting the light on, and of course the feeling goes then because I've moved. But that was actually spot on, because that accident, he shouldn't have been here from that. They found his tools, everything that he had in the cab, miles up the ditch, because it went down across like that, down the ditch and along. Yeah,
that's extraordinary.
And he just had
a
cut on his forehead there.
And did you say, other than about your presence of your dad, did he say that he felt protected? Was he just?
I've never asked him that, ever. I've never asked him that question. It's a weird one, because even though that happened, and he knows I do what I do, he doesn't question it now. He just says, I don't get it, I don't understand it, but I know there's something, because you wouldn't do what you do. And he just leaves it at that. So he's never spoke about that. We've spoke about the accident, but never about, and even me, I never asked the questions then, and I still haven't. Who was that? I made an assumption that it must have been his guardian angel, and whoever that is, they are massive. That was the start of me really opening up to the synchronicities of seeing things and noticing. But I had friends that would talk more about it than Charlie. You sort of you collect friends that are into going to a medium or, a bit of spiritual work. That was good, because we had this connection then. But you knew you couldn't talk to about it.
What happened in the timeline? What happened next for you to start working with it? Was that a long way off?
Oh, a long way off. Stuart.
Okay.
I always had that sense of, the first night I met Charlie when I was 16, and my friend went out with his best friend, and they kept trying to get me to go to make the foursome up, and I didn't want to know. I thought he was too old for me. He had a car, and grown up, he had a job. I had a job, but I was still quite young, 16, 17, I was been at work for over a year, but I didn't want all that, a boyfriend and all that. Anyway, in the end, my friend Shirley said, please just come once. Just make the foursome up for once, because we don't see you. Okay then, I'll go. So Charlie came and picked me up. We went to Shirley's house, which was, I lived in Bow, she lived in the Mile End Road. Quite a way, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And by the time we got there, we had to go up the stairs because she wasn't ready. And as I walked up the stairs, so I was just 17 now. I'd just gone into my 17th year. And as I walked up the stairs, the first time I heard the voice. Never heard the voices before. And they said to me, you're going to marry him.
That's That must have freaked you out.
I was freaked out. In my best East End language, I can't tell you what went through my head. I thought, oh, this is a joke. And I never told Charlie. I've only just told him since we're writing the book.
Yeah.
Because, you know, if you're told that, is that the reason why you marry someone? It wasn't, actually, because I'd forgotten that I'd had that. The loudest voice, the first time I'd heard that voice, and it was loud. And I was a bit shell-shocked from it, to be honest.
Surprised.
Because that is all they said, you're going to marry him. Because I just thought he's too old for me.
Yeah.
You know, like, I used to go in pubs because the East End was full of pubs and you could go in them. But you didn't have to drink, and I wasn't. We used to go for the talent, watch the talent nights, the singing. And it was brilliant times because every pub was busy with different acts and stars, and it was great. So you could just go. And I thought, oh, he's going to drink, he's got a car. Not my scene at all. So that night it was a real shock to hear those words. And then I expect we just got on, and obviously we did get on and we did get married 2.5 years later. But my friend who went out with his friend didn't marry him. They split. So it was like they were the catalyst for this. And there we go, 53 years later.
Thank you, angels.
What happened there then? And that, honestly, that is how I felt about my life. It's been guided and led. Where, you know, like people think, oh, I could make that decision for myself. I never felt like that. I always felt like I was really walking their path for them. Because that's just how it was every time. Everything, every house, it had to be the feet. I always had to feel them around me before I moved into a house. And it was like they was forever pulling my strings. Maybe that's wrong, but that's how it always felt for me, right from that first message.
Do you think, I want to visit Stuart in a minute because you mentioned him earlier. Do you think, I mean, there is no doubt in my mind that you have a gift, you have a connection, you're here for a reason, that you use it. But when you say that you were guided, do you think if we all were able to connect, that we all have that? We are all guided.
Yeah, you are.
So when you say about the intuition about going to a house or a job or a person, that if we all sit and have that connection, that we can feel that.
I'm absolutely sure. Because we had, before we was so sophisticated, everybody had their feeling centre open, which is your solar plexus. So that would react before the mind. Now I think the mind is bigger and more active.
Which was stimulated by modern day, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe because we had to live on our wits when I was younger. It was just after the war. Nothing was nice, or everything was in a poor state. The houses, the streets, everywhere we lived, it wasn't nice. All we had was the park, which actually never got bombed. So I think because we were like street urchins, we lived on our wits, and maybe the wits was where the solar plexus would work better, because you had to rely on yourself. There was nobody else. My parents never come out with me, so maybe that's the side of it that human life has missed out on. Children now are all everything's put in front of them. They're cosseted, and that's okay. That's right as well. But maybe that's where we've lost that connection. That
time and that boredom and that creativity to connect and not be so stimulated all the time, where you have no choice really. You forget actually that you have a connection, that you have a gut instinct.
We didn't have the TV, we had a radio. You wasn't bombarded even by the TV, and we did play in the streets. That's what we did. On the bomb sites. I mean, half the time our parents and Charlie's too didn't know where we were. We could have been anywhere. You wouldn't let the kids do it now. I wouldn't have let my kids do it, but it was the way it was. And maybe that's what built that real sense of knowing and being We were very grown up at a young age because you had to be.
Well, say to a 16-year-old now, okay, you're going to get a job, you would have been working for a year, you're going to be fairly independent, you're going to marry shortly. I mean, that seems so alien. When I think about my children at that age, when I have one friend who I know has been with a husband since she was 16, who's my age.
Yeah.
But yes, they don't, for all their sophistication and attachment to the world, most of the 16-year-olds I know, who are lovely, they don't seem to have that maturity.
No.
Or that connection. It
was a maturity because I think we'd been let loose to do what we did. When my dad had a heart attack at 43, he couldn't support our family. So that's the reason why I had to leave school and go to work. So he had to go and sign for me to leave because apparently I was signed up till I was 18, which was unheard of in them days. So I had to go to work at 15 and get a job to help support the family. And I can't imagine the kids of today doing that.
No.
That's how it was. It was accepted, they said, and you did. That's how it was. And I don't blame them or think I missed out, because maybe I was grown up enough to do that. And obviously I was, because I got a job. Somebody had me.
So, but after you were with Charlie, you 3 children came into your life before you had your own 3 children.
Yes, I did.
So what age were you then?
I was, I got married at 19. We had our first home at 20. So I must have been 20, 21 when they came to live with me. And I had Darren at 22.
Okay, so those 3 children were Charlie's sister's children.
Yeah.
Who you had to look after.
Yeah.
And how old were they then?
I think Laurie might have been 5, 6. So that makes Sherry 7, 8. Dean was youngest, but he never came as much because he used to stay with Charlie's mum. He used to be there a lot, but not as much as the girls. For some reason, Doreen couldn't cope with the girls.
So at 20, you were mothering 2 girls of 5 and 7, or 6 and 8, before you had your first son.
Yeah.
So that's fairly amazing in itself.
Yeah.
And again, did you just feel, well, that's what is meant to happen?
Yeah, it just, because I'd lived in the house when we first got married. Charlie's mum lived in this big house. His sister lived there with the kids. And the kids was always with me anyway, especially Laurie. So when she brought them over, it wasn't anything, I wasn't, shocked that she brought them because she couldn't cope. It was like she just couldn't cope with life. And it was okay. The girls was happy to come. If they hadn't have been happy, maybe I wouldn't have been so happy to have them. But the same sort of situation had happened to me. I'd lived a really odd life. All my aunts had brought me up in between my mum. And my aunt who lived, which was then the countryside, Harold Hill, I used to spend 6 weeks with her, with my cousin. So to me, it was just to follow on from what had happened to me. I wasn't annoyed or shocked or worried about it, that I had them. I might have just been 20, actually, thinking about it, because it seemed I wasn't pregnant then when she brought them over. I would have been pregnant the next year.
So then you went on to have your 3 sons.
Yeah.
When did you stop having children?
How old was I? 27.
Okay. So at 27, you had 5/6 children in your home.
Yeah.
And were the angels still very prevalent then?
No, I don't remember much about them.
Probably quite noisy.
Apart from when I had Carl, that being the last one, that night, my dad. But maybe they were there, but I wasn't really connecting or taking any notice. But I always felt like I'd know if something was the right thing to do. It was a knowing more than a seeing. That's the way it's taking me back to it. It's more like the knowing.
So then, how old was Stuart?
Stu, when he passed, he was 20. Yeah, just before he was 20 this happened in the November, and he would have been 21 in the January.
So then what was, you were saying about angels and being aware of them and then starting to work. How did that shape around Stuart's death?
It made me revisit all because I had that knowing. I had that real sense of, I know it was his time. I knew it was his time. No, it didn't take away the grief, but there was a knowing. It you can't feel right when you're a parent. But it was a real knowing that he had something else to do. I can't say that it clouded the grief, because I think the grief made me go looking. I met amazing people on that journey. I went to see a medium because obviously you want answers from, I really believe that I would get answers. And this lady I was guided to. She didn't run meditation groups in those days, but on the strength of meeting me, she said, I'd really like to run a meditation group, June, and I want you to come. So every step, it was like I was being led to go and look into it and delve into. And it was Stuart that woke that up. Definitely, that was the turning point. It's not. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody, because it's not something that you expect to happen. But for me, that's what stirred it all up again. There was a lovely story. I always felt Stuart around me, coming with me on all that journey. And my best friend who I work with, who you've met, Pauline, was actually with me when I got the news at work that day. I went to do the meditation course, and I said, do you want to come? Because they're quite spiritual. She said, no, I won't come. She said, but my sister will come, Mandy. And she said, by the way, June, I won't be telling her about Stuart, what's happened, because if she comes and gets a message, or you get a message or whatever, it's best that way. So I said, fine. And we used to share the journey, because it was quite a journey to go to this lady. And she's turned up this night, and she knocked on the door, and she said, so we're not using your car tonight then? So I said, yeah, of course we are. So she said, well, there's a young boy sitting in the driving seat. And I went, think you better come in. And I showed her the photo of Stu sitting on the side. I said, was that him? She said, yeah, he's sitting out there waiting for us. Or waiting for you, or using your car. So I said, no, he's not actually here. So she's gone out again. She said, but can you not see him? I said, no, I can't see him, but I know that it's him. She described him absolutely to the T. And that was the first night she knew that I'd lost my son. And from that night on, she got him, she felt him, she got him, she got messages from him. So it was that much, he was that around to push what, obviously where we are now. That was 28 years ago.
Gosh.
Yeah, it's just, she said, and it was amazing because she didn't know anything. She just thought he was going to be using the car because he was sitting in the driving seat.
So do you think part of Stuart's journey was to guide you to where you are now, to facilitate that?
I do. I was told, whatever anybody else's point of view is on this, I was actually told by Spirit that Stuart came here as an ascended master. And he came to wake, this was everybody's awakening. That's what he came for. Ascended masters don't come back, apparently, but he did.
Right.
And I always felt like I couldn't catch him, that he was always one step ahead of me.
When he was here?
Yeah, as a little one. Whether he was really in tune, probably, but we never spoke about it, which is sad now. But maybe that's the way it was meant to be. Maybe I'm blessed because I have him around still. And if anybody doesn't believe and they've lost a child, how bad must that be if you don't have a belief that you actually live on or there's something else?
Yeah.
For me, I should think my saving grace with him. But Stuart's presence is bigger than ever, really, now. And it was then. I can't say it wasn't, because he used to fill the house with his presence. And I didn't know in them days that's what that, from a human form, I never sort of got that as much as I did get the spirit world filling the house. I always felt them around me, but I didn't think I had to do any more than what I did with it.
So when did you start doing something with it?
I went to the psychic church in Paynton when I moved here, because I could, once again, when we bought the hotel, I was totally, utterly guided to get that. I didn't want to buy a hotel. I didn't want to do all that.
And that was
work.
in Hope Cove? In
Hope Cove, yeah. And that first night, we drove down late, had dinner, walked down the road. I said, oh, you're probably not going to like this, but I think we've got to live there. Me, Charlie and Darren standing on the top step. It was just such a draw to live there. But from the minute I lived there, the spirit world run that place. They totally run it. I see them everywhere. And so did Carl. He saw all the nuns walking about. It was just incredible how much spirit was in that hotel. The side to that was the healing. Because as soon as people turn up, and most of them weren't well, they'd had stress, or they weren't eating properly. And if they stayed a week, they'd walk out, they'd eaten everything on the plate and were shining. And there must be something more to this healing.
So was it that you brought the spirit to the hotel, or the spirit was there waiting for you?
I think they were there waiting, because it was run by nuns originally. It was when in the 60s, when women had babies that was out of wedlock, they were sent there to be hidden away. That's what I gathered. And it was run by the nuns. And it had always been a hospital of some kind. And it was just full of all this. I could feel the healing in the house. It had a shrine in the back garden. I mean, who has a shrine in their garden, let alone in a hotel? And I put Mary in there, and people used to go there and light candles. It was amazing. And I do question, why Hope Cove? I could have gone anywhere at that stage. But no, it was there. That was quite a journey, to be honest.
How long were you there for?
5 years. And from there, this lady, whose name is Dilys Guildford, who is a medium, she'd rung and said, could I bring this young girl who's an artist? Needs somewhere to put her pictures. Now, why she picked me, she didn't know me. And she turned up this day, and the girls got her pictures out. And they was all of Indians. I said, are you spiritual? Red Indians. And Dilys looked at me. She said, do you know what I do? I said, I've got no idea. She said, I'm a medium. And I run meditation classes. Would you like to come? I was only there weeks. And she'd found me. And that's how it went. Then I met all these people at her group. I met Gina and Lois. Lois was into the church. So I went for a couple of years to the group. And then Lois said, we're doing awareness at the church. She popped up in all places in Trago. I walked round the corner. She went, I've been looking for you. Would you come to awareness with me and Gina? And that was it. So off I goes to do awareness, not thinking any more of it than an interest, to be honest. Tuesday night, go to the Spiritist church, but you have to work up on platform, and that's where I met Rain. You've heard me talk about Rain, my Buddhist friend. She walked in and said to me, you're going to be my friend. I went, no, I'm not. So this is back to the sitting at the dinner table with anybody. This is how it's worked for me more than me talking about it. I said, I can't be your friend. I run a hotel and I don't have time to have coffee and friends. So she went, well, I'm sorry, but you're going to be my friend. And that's 22 years.
I love the fact you said, sorry, I haven't got time for a friend.
Yeah, I told her that. She got hold of me, I think, like that. She said, you're going to be my friend. I went, no, I'm not. 22 years later, there she is, giving me pictures, fruit trees. So, yeah, that's where I met them all, at the church.
So you started doing mediumship.
I did the mediumship, and they kept saying to me, you're not really a medium. You're good at it, but you're a healer. No, I didn't come here to do that, because losing Stu used to love having a reading or someone say, oh, by the way, Stuart's here and he's got this message. And I thought, that'd be great to do that. I can do that. I know I can do that. I used to get messages. They kept saying, no, you're not. You're a healer. Go away and learn to do the healing. Or come back here and do the healing course. And I pushed all the time against that. I kept going back to do it's called development. I had about 3 different teachers for the development. But every time I'd do a few weeks and then I wouldn't feel very well. It was like they were saying, no, not for you. Off you go. And then what happened? I met Roz. I saw this advert in Thurston Post Office and I thought, oh, Monday night. Because I meditated I've always meditated. I didn't know it had a name in the old days. I thought it was daydreaming. But in my way, I'd always done that meditation. So when I did find Dillis and we meditated, I loved it. At the church, we'd do it. And then I met Roz, went to a course on a Monday night.
So she was, Roz Plus, she was Angels.
Angels with Roz, yeah. Lovely. Absolutely lovely. And the first night, of course, she doesn't take any prisoners. She says, right, after this, everybody's gonna read the cards for everybody else. I thought, oh, here we go. Anyway, I sat next to Jan and Annie, and I gave Annie a reading. And Roz came up to me after. She said, I'm really impressed with what you did tonight. She said, you've just read for the best tarot reader I know. I went, really? And it was no great shakes. I just thought, well, that's weird. You know, where'd all that come? I wasn't thinking, oh, that's good, I could do that. It wasn't that. It was just because it's always been there, natural for me. I was quite shocked I got picked out. You know, she come affirm me and said that to me. Anyway, the next week I goes and she comes up to me. She said, you really don't know what you've got, do you? I went, no, I don't know what you're talking about. She said, well, I want to see you one-to-one. There's more. You've got to know what you've got and what you're dealing with. I went, okay then. I wasn't being naive or vague about it. I didn't know what I could do, because nobody says to you, apart from us, you could do this, because they was all too busy telling me, oh, you're a healer, go away and find out about the healing. So I had this time with Roz, and she said, by the way, I'm giving up the group as of next week because I'm pregnant and I can't, for some reason, moving, I think she was as well. So she said, I want you to run it. I went, no. Oh, no. I really don't know what I'm doing. I don't know about that stuff. She said, but you do. You do know, and you're going to do it. So I come home and I said to Charlie, I don't know what to do about this. She's insisting I can do it. He said, and we had the front room space. He said, well, do it. If you don't like it, then you ain't got to do it again, have you? Okay, then. So, and I didn't say to her, I will do it. At the end of the next week, she said, oh, and by the way, next Monday, it's at Jude's house. I looked at her dad, I thought, my God, what's she doing to me? Of course, when they all turned up, and there was a lot of them in them days, more than what we have here, 20 odd, filled that room. I'm sitting in the hot seat for you. My God, I'll get something in here. But everybody was, for them, I think it was just a continuation of what we had as a friendship at that group. And I said to him, if this just ends up a cup of tea and a chat, so be it, because they knew that I didn't know what I was doing. Personally, I didn't. But in the daytime, when I'd get the room ready, I'd start being shown this, talk about this, or play this, or, okay then. It is a real knowing. I can't explain it any different than that. I'd be shown a book, or like I'd go to a book. I'd stand in front of the books and think, all right then, what am I going to talk about? And something would come up, and it would be, would be about crystals. It built itself, really. I was just the catalyst to build it. But talking the healing, Katie Gostick sat next to me. I used to sit in the chair and she'd sit there. And she said to me, I don't know what I'm doing in Devon. She said, I lived in Oxford and I've ended up here. And the only thing I think I've brought is my healing, which is called Anusha. And she said, it's healing with the stars. I went, that's it. That's what I've got to do. That's it, Katie. It was just one of those ha-ha moments. All this talk about the healing, and there it was. She brought the healing to Devon. She came to the group. And when we was in the other group with Roz, I never sat with Katie. We never even had a conversation. And Jack was at that group, and she said to me, June, we couldn't get to sit with you. She said, I used to get there early to try and sit with you. She said, there was always somebody else that beat me to it. So I never even had a conversation with Jack. Because I don't know if you know Sally Ann.
No.
She was really ill in them days, and she used to bring her bed to lay on. And she would get there and make sure that I sat next to her every time. She would sit this side, I can't remember. It was probably Jane. I don't think you know Jane either. She came over from South Africa to live in Devon. Well, she didn't start off in Devon. She was up country somewhere. And she visited and she said, I've got to go and live there. And she said, I know it was you, the connection, when she met me. It was you was the connection. Because her daughter is in spirit and Stuart, both their birthdays was the 20th of January.
No.
Yeah, and different years, but it was like I could just see all the webs, you know, all the connections coming together. And that, I think, more than anything, I trusted spirit, because simply being me wouldn't be enough to make that happen. It had to be something bigger than me that made all this happen. And I'm just fortunate maybe that I listen or I get it in some way, form or other. That's all I can really say.
You're chosen rather than fortunate.
Yeah, maybe. It's been a bit like that all the time, especially the Ross thing. And since we've had conversations, and I said to her, thanks for that, Ross. That was really pushed me on to do that. And she said, oh, don't worry about it, June. She said, you did it for me in another life. Exactly the same thing. Oh, okay then. But I don't get those sort of messages. We all seem to get messages or feelings or things in different ways. For me, it's just, I think hers is a bigger direction than mine somehow, because she's out there doing it. Whereas I'm quite happy doing what I do here, in here. I've never thought, oh, that's enough, because it never is enough. For me, my personality, it's enough.
But it has shifted of late, because you've been poorly and out of action. I don't want to say it's 18 months. You're going to tell me it's longer, aren't you?
It is longer, yeah.
But your energy has grown within that time.
Yeah.
And although you're a little resistant, you know that there is change coming.
Yeah.
That although you're happy in your beautiful healing heart and you do meditation and you do healing and you do readings, they've got bigger plans for you.
Yeah. I think they are.
Which is going to be reaching more people.
Yeah. Yeah. The healing on the telephone is the thing I think they're pushing me towards more, because you don't have to live here to get it. I can do that in my home to anybody in the world. And I've got a feeling that's the next sort of calling. You know, that's probably going to be bigger than what I thought it would be, because that blows my mind away. How does that work? And I mean, I know that works. How it works. It's not my job. It's that I just believe enough that it does work. And that's how it's always been. I've believed enough that this is how there's something out there, something different, something more than us, bigger than us. I'm not saying I see it all the time now, because I don't. It's just a real knowing.
Okay, it kind of slightly leads me on to my next question. You've talked about spirit, and we've talked about angels, and you've talked now about what I would say is source energy or God or whatever you want to talk about it. For people who aren't familiar with that, what is the difference, say, between a spirit and an angel?
A spirit is somebody that's passed. Angels mostly haven't lived on Earth. They've never come and lived on Earth. You get a guardian angel that comes with you at birth and leaves you when you die. They're there for protection, for guidance, but you have to ask for it. They don't just offer. They're not there to make your life better unless you include them in your life. You have to ask. So an angel, if we want to see it as a floaty being sitting on a cloud, but I don't actually see it like that. I just see colours, and I know from the colours and the feeling who it is around me. And they all have specific jobs. Archangel Michael is the strong one that gives you a bit of strength, shows you a much different way of doing things, and he really makes you feel not alone. Whereas Archangel Raphael is the healer. He comes on a very soft, gentle energy for me. But in that softness is the strength. And he's all love and giving. So for me, it's more feeling and knowing. But a spirit is somebody like your mum or dad that passes over, or like I've seen your aunt in spirit. I think there must be different levels. That's the way I perceive it. There must be a different level when you go home. Because I call it home, because for me there is a home, a spirit home, where we go back to, where we learn the lessons, or we're told where we went wrong this time, and we have to come back and revisit again and learn another lesson. Earth is about your soul growth. It's up to you, because this is free will, how much of that soul growth you want to do. You could never tell somebody that doesn't believe that this is what they've got to do. Everybody has got to come to it. And different souls are here for different reasons, different learning purposes, teachings. I just think I'm really fortunate that I sort of get it. I understand a bit more about it.
So I don't have to ask this question, and I'm always loath to bring it up. I know kind of what my answer would be. For people who don't have a faith and don't believe either in angels or source, it tends to be a standard question. What if there is love, if there is home, if there is all the things that you and I are aware of, why do bad things happen? Why do children die? Why are there wars? Why is there that negativity? Why is there, for the moment, say COVID-19, whatever it is, if there is all that wonder and glory and love, why do we have that?
I think it goes back to man being man. A lot of this stuff is brought on by man, by the wars, egos, not knowing enough, not feeling the love enough, not having enough love in them. Most of this stuff is man-made. I don't believe that spirit want it to happen. Let's see if I can get a message on that one. Okay, some things are meant to happen. Like some wars are meant to, because there's too much trouble. Can't get the words. Okay, what spirit is saying about that is, when we come back from spirit, we're shown the path that we can walk to come back on. So we're shown the type of life that we would come back to have. So people that have really bad experiences, death-wise, all that, you know, we don't hold dear to our hearts, all the terrible crimes. People actually come back to learn that lesson, because apparently, so the spirit tell me, we've all gone through these different cycles of a death, or something bad, or coming back with a disability. Every single thing we've taken on ourselves. We've chosen it. We've said yes to it when we're in spirit, to come back and live that life. And that, all they ever say to me is, like they're saying now, it's for your soul's growth. Mate, I don't know enough about all this. It's only what they tell me. It's like starting from a new sort of soul. It's the souls that have the wealth, the power, and when they go home, they have to come back and learn a different lesson to make their soul, your a rounded soul, is how they show it to me, when you've learned all those lessons. So coming back to the question is, a lot of the things that do happen are unnecessary, but a lot of the things that do happen are because we've come back and accepted that is going to happen. I don't know more of an answer than that one, because that's what they show me. You come back, you have that blueprint of this life. Whether you follow that through is up to you.
And if you don't, one presumes, to get the soul growth, you have to come back again and learn that lesson.
Learn the lesson. And if you don't complete all what you've meant to learn on that lesson, you come back again and learn it again. Or you take it on in a different form. Because it's just, you never stop learning and your soul never stops growing. I don't know where that ends, that the soul has grown enough.
That's kind of my next question. Does there come a point where you don't have to come back?
Apparently, I don't have to next time.
Okay.
I wouldn't have thought that my soul would learn all the lessons, but maybe it has. Because I expect I've had millions of lives to get to this point, which I think that's what the teachers, like the Dalai Lama, I'm not saying I'm like him, I'm just saying those sort of people that are put on that spectrum possibly have done thousands of lives to get to the point where they are. And that's, I have been actually told I won't have to come back. I came back this time and I didn't need to, apparently, because it was the time of great awakening. But where the soul growth comes in is possibly because of the young deaths I've had. Carl, he's chosen a really hard path for his soul growth. And I do think it is that. I think it is hard. And 99% of the time, maybe we can cope. But there's that other 1% where we are human and we don't really want to cope with that. We want to be here and have a good time.
That's kind of what I was thinking is, how old are you now? 70?
73.
So your journey, so it's still going.
Yeah.
And 73, all the things that have happened to you. So really, if you look at it, it almost feels to me, especially when we're talking today, there's been no rush. getting to this point. It's just been this slow rotation of events and people and circumstances and guiding to get you here. So 70 years of learning.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I've actually had a conscious thought about life, but you think, well, life is life. You know, if I'm here to serve, then why can't I do that in my 20s so I can serve for 50 years? But actually you're serving in your latter day of your life, but actually the majority of your life has been getting you to that point.
Yeah.
I always find that so fascinating, because I think now, let me be here for as long as possible, because if I'm just at the start of my healing journey and I'm nowhere near what you do, I think, oh my goodness, I'm 50. I want to be able to do this for as long as possible. I mean, do you feel that?
I do more now. And I've sort of looked back and thought, I could have been doing that then, but it wasn't possible. You know, having 3 kids and the other kids come in, and my house was always full, because there'd be a house full of people. You couldn't knuckle down and do this stuff. I had always had a job, and that to me, the jobs that I did was always so guided. I always felt guided to go and do that job, whatever the job was. And I'd meet amazing people. It was like I had to go into the world and meet all these people first before I sat down in here and did what I did. There's hardly anybody that walks through that door that I haven't experienced what they've experienced. So my experience really I would say is life. Life has taught me this stuff as much as the spirit world.
Well, it gives you the connection, it gives you the empathy and the understanding.
You have to have that. You have to have that feeling of wanting to help people, maybe. And maybe that was always there, because I can't ever remember not feeling real. My mum always said to me, "You're far too soft." But I know, I'm glad and grateful that she made me toughen up to a degree, because I don't know how much I would have coped with losing Stu if I hadn't have had that tougher upbringing. For me, I look back on that and think she was such the right mum for me, because I would have fallen at the first hurdle. So even that, you know that you're born to those parents to learn that lesson, whatever that lesson is. And maybe we can all sit here and go, "Oh, poor me," but it isn't that case. You've agreed on a level, like maybe me agreeing to have Laurie, well, especially Laurie, more. Whoever meets me and her, they know that there's more of a connection than she looks more like me than at her age than and nothing like her mum. It was like she was born to somebody else and I had to have her, because I was probably too young then to have another child. You know, when you look at all that, you think, my God, somebody up there has got the blueprint of this so mapped out that you couldn't make it up. Wherever I've walked or been on holiday, there's never been a time when I don't meet somebody. And that happened even when the kids were little. They used to nag me for staying and talking to someone, Laurie especially. I went swimming and Laurie went to the gym. We was in David Lloyd in Essex. And this woman got in the pool, and as she swam past me, backwards and forwards, she was telling me her life story. And Laurie's opened the door and she went, "Have you quite finished talking? I'm starving." I said, "I wasn't talking to her. She was talking to me."
The funny thing is, I bet Laurie does this now.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet she's the one talking to everyone.
She does it now all the time. She don't stop talking. But she was angry, like mad, but bat out of hell come through them doors. She thought I was doing it on purpose. I don't know her. She's just telling me her life story. Oh, well, that happens all the time, you know, all that nastiness I used to get. And I'd go with Emma. We went to IKEA with Emma, and she went, "Before we go in, can you just not encourage anybody, because I want to get this," oh, whatever it is. And there I was buying me smoked salmon at the end of the thing, and this woman standing there, she went, "Oh, here we go. We've been all round the shop and someone's found you." And I weren't working then, I don't think. It was always like that. People just turn up and talk to me, tell me. And I've never thought that's not the right thing to do. It's never occurred to me that there's something wrong with that. I've always thought that's okay. You know, there was obviously work going on, like the lady in America. It's almost always been like that, and that's why I can't put timings on it, really.
Do you know what the funny thing with you is, my friendship with you, and I've said this to you before, is I think I've known you about 6 years, I think, but I cannot remember meeting you.
No,
I can't remember when it was. It feels like you were always meant to come into my life.
Yeah.
And obviously I know, obviously before Devon I didn't know you, but it's just, I don't know anyone else where I can't say, actually I met you through that person or at this event.
Yeah.
And it's just like you were just suddenly there, and it's like you had always been there, and we were always meant to be friends.
Yeah.
It's extraordinary. So I can imagine if everyone else feels that, it's like, oh, there you are, June. I've been waiting years for you to be my friend.
It's just like I've turned up. And here I am again. Whoops. And the kids used to say, "Mum, please, do we have to?" But it's just, that is it. That's possibly what I was doing when I didn't know I was doing it. And I quite like that. I didn't ever want to put a label on it, or for me it was my sanity that I probably went looking because of Stu. Because to me, he was on that precipice. You're just going to let him go in flight. And obviously he flew that way instead of. Very talented, very clever. All the things, I used to just look at him and be, "Where'd that come from?" Obviously he was light years in advance of anything I know. He had healing books on healing your organs. He'd bought them. I didn't buy them. I didn't know anything about it. And he used to tell me. I used to go, "Really? What, you're reading that?" Yeah.
At 11.
Yeah. He knew about the organs, about the healing. And obviously that's what the connection is now. He's home. Although I think he's moved on a bit from me now. But I think that was the strong connection to do with the healing. It was Stuart. I mean, there's so many stories. Sarah seeing him as she saw him and didn't see before, didn't know any. I've never asked her if she ever was interested in it. It just.
So Sarah's
like
a friend of ours who I think actually that's probably how I met you, through Sarah.
Probably.
But she was, when you met her, she was suddenly aware of Stuart there, and he's never left her, has he?
No, he's like her guardian angel, I'd say. I mean, that day in that healing room in the front bedroom, I saw him standing in the corner rings. I thought, "You're cracking up now, girl. Stuart was no angel when he was here. There's no way he's got wings." And she was lying on the bed. And she sat up, she went, "Your boy's got a lovely pair of wings." I went, "What, Sarah, you can see him?" She went, "Yeah, he's standing there." I said, "I'm not cracking up then." Because she sat up, bolt upright and said it. Amazing. From somebody that I don't think she'd ever even delved into it until that night. I met her that first night. I think Sarah was the connection. And obviously Stu was the connection there for me to do the healing now, to really pick up and do it. That was the connection. That night when I just put my hand on her back. Oh my God. That was amazing. Even for me, I think that night was amazing. That connection.
I mean, since then, it has grown quite a lot in what you're doing and in your confidence and where you're being led to do. I mean, you're writing a book at the moment with someone. So this is a collection of stories from lots of people like myself about the effect that you've had on us and our lives and our experiences of spirit and angel, and plus also your story, which you shared today, of how you got there. So what do you think the purpose of that book is? For
me, it's for the people that have fallen through the cracks, that actually they sense or know something's there, and they're not sure if it's right, if they see things. Oh, if you see some type of people see things out the corner of their eye and they go, oh, I've just imagined that. But imagination is all part of what spirit is anyway. For those people that really think, oh, I did see that, but I imagined it, it's the book for them, because it's to help them really step up the next step. It might convince people that don't really believe. It might do, because there's too many coincidences in it. But I do feel like it's not a self-help book. It's for the people that actually sort of know there's something, and that it just affirms that, yes, look at that. That's maybe what I got, that feeling, or I saw that, or that happened to me.
So how would you, for people who, if that is the beginning of their journey, what would you say to people who do want to start have a connection with angels and to start really feeling that solar plexus, that knowing, that connection, whether it should be meditation? How do they start to do that? What would that look like for them?
For me, I think they should join a meditation group, or get the CDs, listen to them on your own. Just sitting in the quiet space, being in your own space, being quiet, is the time that spirit can access you. There's no right or wrong way, really. You might want to go to the spiritualist church and just sit and have messages, listen to the messages. You might want to join a group, which I think is great to join a group. You hear other people, what they get. It's like a camaraderie thing.
And it is quite different. I mean, when I've been in your groups, what people experience, some people, as you say, will see, some people will hear, and sometimes they'll hear very loudly, and sometimes it's really subtle, and it is that, oh, I just made that up, or that definitely, and I've had to really learn to listen. For some people, they'll see lights or colours, or they'll get downloads. I mean, it really is, there isn't a right or wrong way, is there?
There is no
of getting
right
it, and it is, I suppose, tapping into that connection, going, actually, it feels right, or it makes sense, and not discounting that quiet gut voice, because we're so in our head, aren't we?
Yeah.
And it's connecting to heart and gut.
Yeah. It's just believing that there's something else. There is actually something bigger than us that we can connect into. For me, it's like plugging the plug into the electric. I mean, where does the electric come from? That's a phenomenon to me. It's as much as spirit. I say all this about spirit, and I know it happens to me. But on an everyday basis, I don't look across there and go, oh, there's so-and-so standing there. That's not me. That don't happen. Can happen that way if someone's with me and I see their relation, or I get a message, or normally something will happen. But it isn't about that. It's for your own safety and health, really, that they're there. I think people like me are the people that it's about awakening everybody else up to be able to do their own stuff.
That very neatly leads me on to my last question, which was about, you mentioned earlier, and I know that I've read, that the world is awakening and there is kind of an energetic shift, which is maybe part of our current circumstances working towards. What do you, or spirit, say about that, and what the world is going to look like, and the part that we have to play in them?
I know 100% that there is a lot of light workers, and there's a lot in Devon. I've met most of you. We're all working in a different way, for a different reason. And I don't believe that many of us do it for the money. We do it because it is a real calling. There's something about humanity that needs to be saved. And that's my gut instinct from spirit. We've gone too far down the wormhole. The money, the possessions, just that ego thing of thinking we're better than anybody else. The wars that go on are man-made. And when you look at the devastation around the world, something had to stop and something had to give. And I think on a really weird note, I think that Spirit have conjured something up to make us all stop, look and listen. Whether it's this virus, who knows? I don't know. It could be man-made. It could be something that was already ordained to happen. But I do think we have got more to every one of us than what has happened. The fear, all that. If we just went back to basics and listened to our own self, be in that lovely quiet space, and it isn't fairyland, it's there for everybody, and get our own messages, get our own well-being, just to connect with the earth, with the beauty that we've got at our fingertips. Even if you live in London, the parks, there's beautiful spaces. You can see a beautiful street with all the lovely houses and think, oh, isn't that lovely? You don't have to live up on a mountain and be cut off. In fact, I think that wouldn't be the right way to do it. I think people...
It's really seeing the beauty where there isn't obvious beauty.
Yeah, and people need people. We need each other. I know I do. I love the groups. I miss it now, but I'm sure it'll come back. But I know the amount of pleasure that everybody gets from just being in each other's company, let alone what the Spirit bring to it.
What do you think the world is going to look like the other side of this?
Spirit are telling me it's to take human beings back to the basics. So back to the basics, obviously for them means finding the love. Looking at everybody without looking at them jealously, without looking at them and being resentful that they've got more than you. Just looking at them that they're human beings and their light. Everybody's got the light, a light. That's their soul light. And we've all come here to learn whatever it is we've come here to learn. And we're all walking that path. But we've lost that. But people, there's too much envy. That's what they've just said to me. There's too much envy. Envy and hate. But they're saying if we could just switch the coin, if you look on the other side of the coin, there doesn't need to be that. Because somebody invents something, you don't need to be jealous of them, because they were sent here to invent that, to make the world a better place. Or if they come here with, say, a healing gift or a gift like you've got, you don't have to resent them or be envious of them, because they actually came here to do that job. Even the menial tasks that people do, if that's what makes them happy, then that's good enough. Happiness, love, joy. Is there another one? How many more do you want? That's what I just said to me.
Cheeky.
Not nice, is it? All right, then I'll say laugh.
Thank you, Spirit.
Great, isn't it? Yeah, all right. Have a row with me. But that's if that's what this is about, what we're going to get more of. Although, I may be being an old cynic. Inside me, I don't know. Maybe a lot of people will gravitate towards being nicer. But if you come back here to learn a lesson, and one of them lessons is something that's not very nice, is that going to change? So I think for the broader spectrum of people, this will change them, because they've had to knuckle down and be with themselves for a lot of time. And that's when Spirit can get to you. You just have to be with you. And most of us don't like ourselves for one reason or another. Everybody has that self-worth or lack of it. There's always something going on underneath what we have to work on. I've been really, I've not had the self-worth from it. And yet, when I'm working, I love it and I feel it. I feel the worthiness of spirit. But when I'm on my own, it's something else I have to work on.
Yeah,
And,
I can relate to that.
you know, it's like being two people. So I get afterwards, you know, people will be in this lovely cocoon for a little while, and then bang, it's back out in the world, and here we go again.
And it's maybe making space in the new world to maintain or reconnect again, to find that space for spirit to reach you.
Maybe that would be the difference, though. They would have had enough of feeling that,
that they know
that
what they seek.
want it again and come back to it, and not be so caught up in all the stuff that's false. Is all the stuff to do with money and the big razzmatazz of what that brings.
Whereas the advertising world busy telling us that we need all these things in order to be happy, and actually we don't.
We don't need
they
it.
keep telling us what we need.
And maybe
that's
why I came from that place of not having, because we was as poor as church mice. But I never felt that I did lack. I never lacked anything, really. I wouldn't want to go back and live like that, but I didn't. I don't feel like I was. Maybe it's because nobody had anything in those days. But I didn't feel like I didn't have anything.
Post-war was a great leveller.
Yeah. And maybe the war was the reason for that too. Because there was always that divide of the rich and the real poor. But maybe that was the leveller for that war.
And really, it's almost the same now. Because this is a kind of war in that it's levelled us all, rich or poor, pretty much to the same circumstance.
You can't go out, you can't integrate, you can't. We can't all go to a restaurant, even if you've got the money. Can't go down the pub. So yeah, in a way, it is another leveller. And I think that's spirit's job, though. They just keep bringing you back. Look at it this way. And I do think sometimes, oh, God, it would have been lovely to have this much knowledge when I was younger, to be with more people, but it wasn't meant to be.
No.
It's like a life lived and knowing enough to be able to be the person that you become. Does that make sense?
Totally. Unless Spirit has something else to add, I'm going to thank you very much.
Okay.
Do you want to ask Spirit if they want anything else to say?
Okay, if you like. All we ask of you, my dear ones, is to be brave, to open your wings and fly. There's a whole new world just waiting if you wish to connect to it. Our wish for you is peace and love, and that is all there is. Wow.
I just have to say, June, you've seen what's on my jumper.
Oh my God, no.
Across my chest I have peace, and on my arm I have and love.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
And I knew I had to wear this jumper today. That's so funny.
Oh,
Thank
wow.
you, angels.
Oh, wow. And who said we're not connected?
I know. On that
I've
note, June
not even
Barclay.
read that. I've not even read
So
that.
you can't really see that and
Can't
love on
see
my
that.
arm, can you?
No.
They are being a bit smart.
When I saw Be Brave, there was a name, I don't know if it was your name, I don't know who it was. They had the wings right out, flying.
Open your wings and fly.
Yeah, the wings was right out. Feminine, lovely. Absolutely.
It was a beautiful
lovely.
message. Thank you. Thank you, June.
You're
We
welcome.
could talk for hours. We've been an hour and a half. Thank you so much for listening to the Healer Hotspot podcast. I really hope you enjoyed listening to June's journey. Maybe you'd like to check out our Facebook page under Healer Holistic. Next time, I'll be talking with Ali Haggett, who is a fellow Touch for Healther, and with her PhD in History of Medicine, she's able to bring more insight into mental health and our holistic well-being. I can't wait to explore her thoughts on how physical and mental health are connected holistically. Until then, take care.